shit. This player gonna do something. Oh my god, and the king's missing. Three-bet pre-flop. Oxoda opens. I three-bet in position. Flop where I'm going to be c-betting fairly often, probably. Also going to be getting check raised fairly often. Decent suits for double barreling. Decent ace high hand for double barreling. On the higher side for roll, so I think we just double. I'd be more inclined to check back ace queen, for example, or ace king, which I clearly have. So does Oxoda. So double barreling ace 10. I prefer to have spades, fade clubs. Obviously, I'd really rather have hearts, but if I'm not allowed to have hearts, which is obviously, then I'd rather have spades. So it's a decent spot. Decent spot. We gunned it twice. You know, we made those moves sometimes. Gunned it twice, took it down. Shit. Usually just fold this hand, but this guy seems fun to me. Not really fun from middle position though. Kind of normal from MP. Alright. Well, that makes my fucking life easy as hell. I think I was gonna fold. Just full disclaimer. This guy's like super active from a lot of positions trying to attack, but I think I was gonna pass. Oxoda coming through with the 4. It's tempting to put Oxoda on thug mode and just fucking 5-bet the ace queen, to be honest. I would have ripped it with ace king though. I wouldn't have folded that. Like I wouldn't have been like, oh, like the cold 4-bet's so bladed, like you have to fold ace king now. I'd have been like, all right, Oxoda, listen, bud, if you've got it, you've got me. Ace king's going in. Uh-oh. I knew that guy was spitballing. I knew you were spitballing. Darren. I mean, I say knew it. I said I was going to pass, right? So, but I was like, I knew to think about it, but I wasn't going to do it. So you don't get credit for thinking about it. So I'm acknowledging that I wasn't going to do shit. But I was like, I feel like you're fucking with me. But I'm still not going to do anything about it. And he's like, yeah, I was fucking with you. All right, Darren. Kind of tempting to flat and let him punt if you want to punt, Darren, but I'm just going to shove and hope you call with a7 and like just or over this tournament today. King 4. Good luck, Darren. All right. Cheers, bud. Good luck with your re-entry. I'm assuming you're going to re-entry, Darren. So good luck with it, and I'll be back in a few minutes, guys. Looks like this is a bit too weak at the stack depth to squeeze. At like a reasonable clip. Feels better now. Squeezing it, I mean. Yeah, I mean, we rolled kind of high. I think once we get the third caller, it becomes more tempting. We didn't roll that high, but we didn't roll low. And it's just more tempting when this range comes in, because this range is like weak as fuck. It's going to be funny if this is the range that gives me problems here. It also devalues the call option when he comes in. I guess this is like pocket 9s thinking about it or something. Pocket 8s. It's not the best flop in the world for the range that I think I'm up against. Guess I'll have to bet though. The nice thing is there's like no pre-flop traps in this range. There are obviously post-flop traps now. There's pocket 10s and there's probably pocket 8s. But there's no pre-flop traps. That worked out nice. That's a pretty big pot for King Jack offsuit. I can also do it myself, which just makes the business more resilient in case something happens. Like let's say I hire a cash game team, and then let's say the guy dies. Then you might be like, come on, dude. That's ridiculous. It's not that ridiculous. You know, like maybe he decides to quit poker. You know, maybe he gets hit by a bus. Maybe he starts losing and he can't win anymore. So, Yeah, this hand doesn't mix to overcall, so I just 3-bet and didn't think about it. Didn't look at numbers. Like, didn't look at an RNG. I just fucking squeezed queens because it's fucking good. So, you know, why? Like, what's the plan with cash? It's just to play, and, you know, that's a good flop. Yippee. So, that's a good hand. Don't mind that one. So, yeah, so, like, that's the plan with cash. The plan with cash is to, like, you know, get better at it. See what happens. You know, maybe nothing happens. Maybe I don't have enough energy to, like, keep it up for long enough. But it still seems to me like if I put all of my energy into tournaments, I'm not going to really accomplish very much. So I'm not super interested in it. Whereas, like, if I put all of my energy into cash, I might accomplish a lot. I might not, too, because I might not be able to do it. By the way, I didn't RNG kings for 3-bet either. We're just 3-betting kings because we have kings. Yeah, I would need cooperation to have like cash game seminars. I would need a team to do that. Couldn't just be me. But the size of the team could be a lot smaller if I could help coach the cash game seminars than it would be without my ability to help coach the cash game seminars. Does that make sense? I think this flop's gonna end up with like decently high frequency check. I think this hand in particular, is probably in the high frequency check bucket. We're hoping for like the queen of clubs on the river. Okay, let's be real. I felt like the 4 of hearts was a little bit of an ask. I was like, the 4 of hearts is a bit of an ask. I'm gonna go with the queen, because I feel like the 4 of hearts is a bit of an ask. I think I jam. I think I have no bluffs when I jam, though. But I think I jam anyway. Like, I don't think, as in I don't think I make it like 200 or 175 or something. I think when I jam, I'm just like, I have a 4, and I have like pocket 4s, and I have no bluffs. And I just like slam it in and just like win the pot a bunch. But yeah, I think that's the way to go. I don't think it's like really anything. It's nothing special. I think this is just like, they probably all have one. You know, if you said like, do you know how to disable it? I'd be like, no. Otherwise I might. But it just like creates these like poker stars shit. I don't know. I don't even know what this does. You want to click the button? Let's see what happens. Get this badge. Oh, this is like them telling me that I don't have shit. Okay, cool. So this is like the lack of accomplishments that I have in poker. That's what this is. That's what this symbolizes. That's why it's gray. And like this player has like won a scoop or something. And so they've got this like scoop badge over their name. That's what it is. That's what it is. Okay, so right. I think we bet. That sucks. I think Apotheosis is like very good to do this and can do this with a balanced range, which is annoying. I think actually once this happens, I think having the Ace of Clubs probably sucks. There's probably a lot of thin value in this range also, as well as bluffs. So I'm gonna roll this and call sometimes and fold a lot. Fuck. So now I think the bluffs come from like the 9-10, Jack-10 region. You have to call this sometimes and fold a lot. Whew, rolled fold. Didn't even come close. We rolled a 2. Didn't even come close. I was calling that hand about 40% of the time, which seems fine. This sizing choice on this card is probably going to include all my strong hands. Like, I don't think... I mean, it's possible that this doesn't include all my strong hands. That like, I would overbet. But I don't think I'd overbet as much on a queen. I mean, I would still have an over... Oh, shit. Hit the table. I would probably still have an overbetting range. So, like, this sizing might not include enough of my strong hands. But I don't think that that's really true. I think I have my strong hands here still. I think I still have sets here on a queen. good flop, I think. Guess I'm gonna roll again. So we rolled, and we rolled high, which was, you know, the bet. I told you. I just told you how that works. So we didn't roll. We didn't roll a low number. If we rolled a low number, I might have checked. That hand for me was very elastic around betting and checking. I didn't think that hand that hand wasn't the nuts anymore once that's the turn. So yeah, so that was a spot where it felt like, you know, if I roll really low, like I'll definitely check, and if I don't, I'll barrel. And I rolled pretty high, which is definitely the barreling option, and I didn't feel like I wanted to have a larger size there, so even though I rolled pretty high, I went with the small size because I think that that's a turn where small size with like a large fraction of my range makes sense. My opponent probably has a pure play on that check call there with like pocket jacks, potentially with like 10-9 suited, potentially with queen jack. So like that turn is, you know, going to subtract a large fraction of the number of hands that I beat on the flop that would play the way that my opponent played it on the flop. So I still think my hand's quite good, but I think that, like, you know, the ratio of really strong hands in my opponent's range has gone up somewhat dramatically. And the types of hands that my opponent has, if I bet really large, that he has to continue with, get really sexy. So this type of card also gives my opponent like lots of combo draws. So if I bet big, you know, one of the way that poker works, and I have a video called Introduction to Quantitative Strategies video that helps explain this, but essentially the relationship is the bigger you bet, the tighter the range gets. The smaller you bet, the wider the range is. And so when I bet small, I force my opponent to defend more hands, and when I bet big, I allow the range to get stronger. Now that's the trade-off when you bet bigger and the range gets stronger is you make more money. So when you make more money, the bigger bet makes you more chips. So if you have a hand that never loses, you're kind of trying to put money and you're trying to bet bigger. And if your hand loses, is more vulnerable, your range is more vulnerable, your opponent can have hands that just are really strong, you typically will make more money trying to play against the weaker parts of the range or a larger fraction of their range. And so I bet small here because if I bet big, not only do I run into the nuts more, just in terms of because the weaker hands got folded, so the nuts will be a bigger fraction of the hands that he's continuing with. But the types of hands he'll continue with will also be like combo draws. So combo draws will become a bigger fraction of his range also. So hands like King 10 of hearts or Ace 10 of hearts or Ace King of hearts. Those are all hands that I think he could probably play that way on the flop. And I don't really do that well against those hands either. I mean, I'm not doing bad against those hands. I definitely want to bet. I'm definitely winning. But if his range is like combo draws or hands that beat me, that ain't very good. So I'm trying to play, you know, if I'm going to bet this hand, I want to play against like, you know, a weaker range. I want to try to force him to play like, you know, one pair Jack X. I want to force him to keep his overpairs in. I want to force as much as I can from the weaker parts of that range as possible. So we bet small there. All right, guys, I'm going to give you a super quick explanation of what these charts are. So we can pick one of a huge number of situations. We've got spin and goes, we've got ICM final tables that you can choose from, but we're just going to pick a generic spot, 50 big blinds, 8 max. What do I do if I'm under the gun? You do this. This is the under the gun raise first in strategy. If it folds to you in middle position, what do? You do this. If it folds to you in the low jack, you do this. If the small blind limps, okay, limp first in. If the small blind limps, this is what you do in the big blind. This is your big blind strategy at 50 big blinds. What if under the gun opens and I'm in the big blind? Then you do this. What if the cutoff opens and I'm in the small blind? Then you do this. So this gives you the complete strategy. It's comprehensive. It's all of pre-flop. You don't need anything else. It's only $20 a month. I've paid thousands of dollars for this material before. Okay? This is what you need to get better at No Limit Hold'em. Go get it. This hand's pretty good around calling 3-bet. I mean, we rolled pretty low. But yeah, I guess I'll call. This hand might be pure 3-bet in this situation. So this might be just a fucking pure mistake. Don't think I raise, like, at all, really. I mean, maybe I should raise like a little bit. and then this is just like the end of the tournament sometimes. He's gonna have pocket kings. He's gonna have ace king. There's nothing I can fucking do about it. I don't have much. I have 0 ace king weight. I mix ace 5 and ace 4 pre. I don't have ace 5 or ace 4 offsuit. So this hand is like, you know, he might end up putting in like a 92k bet here on the turn. Yeah, he ends up going huge. I mean, like this hand is just like call turn, call river. Obviously, this bet puts my range in a difficult situation. So the nice thing is he has basically no threes in this range. Like he has pocket threes, I guess. So there's pocket threes exist in this range still, I think. At a pretty good weight, like he could definitely have a full weight on pocket threes. But he had spades, jack 8 of spades, bad blockers for shoving the river. Makes sense to river check there. I think I'd play that hand the same way a lot. I don't know if I would have bet 160. I might have bet 130 or something. That bet seems like a bit oversized to me personally, but if I roll high here, we're going to 3-bet. If I roll low, we're going to flat. We rolled kind of low. Yeah, so I could be wrong about the size of that bet on the turn. Maybe that bet size on the turn is better than I think it is. I've been seeing some like really smart guys with like, oh no, it's not that big of an overbet. But it's still kind of big. Like, I don't know. I probably don't pick that size. So just me personally. I have a question to the ICM sims BBZ are selling. Why do some of the sizes, especially big blind 3-bets, look so big to me? It's actually a good question for Yargo. If you have a sizing question, you can speak to Yargo. So you can post in the BBZ Discord. He ran the sizings, and if you have like specific comments or questions about how things look, you would just ask him. He would be best equipped to answer. It could just be that you undersized. I mean, it could be that you undersized. It could be that he made a mistake, but he was pretty intellectually honest. So if you have a question, you just ask and you say like, hey, like this spot, this 3-bet here, this looks fucking whack. And he might be like, oh, you're right, it is whack. We're going to rerun it in like a few weeks or something. Or maybe he's going to be like, no, you just suck. Like he'll have it, he'll phrase it nicer than that, but like that might be it. So I don't know, obviously. So maybe that's not obvious, but I don't know, because I don't know what you're talking about. So it's a pretty good river. Truth be told. It's easy with the nuts. Poker's harder when you have to fucking make this play without the 9. So the 9 was nice. Unlucky for pocket 8s. I'm the luckiest. I do run the best, but I also did win the maximum. I didn't win the little small bet amount. I won the most you could win. But I ran pretty good there. Alright, let's see what's going on with this chat. I'm gonna respond to whatever she says here in a sec, guys, but we're gonna be 3-betting the kings. It's obviously I mean, maybe it's not obvious, but it's a 0% weighted flat against this stack size. Flat's more here against this, but that's a bad flop. Darn. Oh, we have kings again. Okay. That's pretty good. That player's play was obviously standard. If I was in his shoes, I'd have done the same fucking thing. So, not really much to say about that one. Shit. This player gonna do something. Oh my god, and the king's missing. Oh, sometimes the game's painful, guys. Oh, you just get kings back to back and lose both. Ugh, game's a little rough. Game can be a little bit rough. Well, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Just try Trying to play well. Obviously, I mean, like, maybe it's not obvious. I'm very happy with how I played today. Shit happens. So we're going to start going with min, like, just because the big blind's got 20. I'm also getting short, so it's not that bad. We're hoping for big blind shove with 7s. Actually, if I'm being totally honest, I'm hoping for big blind shove with 9-8 suited, but I'll take 7s. Okay. That's not exactly the answer I was hoping for. I think I'm going to bet small here. Obviously, small blind's going to have reasonable coverage of Queen X, but small blind's also going to have reasonable weights on 7s and 8s. I would check with jacks more. I think that like 9s is like the one that bets the best, kind of. Like it gets value from 7s and 8s. He doesn't really have 10s and jacks because he did 3-bet pre. And then he could 3-bet pre with 7s and 8s too. Like he could just ship it. Like that would be fine, but some people won't. And kind of an awkward spot as far as knowing what to do. It's easy if he shoves. It's difficult if he underbets. I still have Queen X at like a pretty robust weighting myself. I don't have the worst suits. Ugh, I have no time bank at all. Fuck. Yeah. That might have been a bad call. Obviously the king subtracts bluffs. Yeah, I should have folded. But not because of this. Like, I should have folded, I think, because I think I have the wrong suits for the 9. I don't like having the 9 of clubs or the 9 of diamonds. Because I don't block Queen 9 suited, which is probably a big way of how he has a fucking queen. So I think, I'm probably, like, my 9s are probably worth close to 0, and then I'm probably supposed to call with, like, 9 of spades, 9 of hearts. So... But I didn't have enough time. I mean, like, that's just, you know, it's like, I can't just fold all the time either. I can't just call the king. I can't just call the queen. I have to call with, like, out a king or a queen sometimes. I just have too many hands that are neither one of those. I think my opponent has bluffs, I think. Like, I think that it's probably reasonable for me to expect to see some 7-8 suited or some 4-5 suited in the range, or, like, some ace-jack or some ace-10, which might be converted to bluff, particularly ace-10. Across this run out. I don't think ace-10 with the backdoor flush draw folds as a flop. I don't think it pure checks the river necessarily. So, yeah, I think I have to call with 9 sometimes. It's just about like how to do it, and I just fucked up and called with the wrong 9s. So, I mean, like the spade's good. It's not like I called with the worst 9s, but I think it's like, it's a bad enough call that you should probably be specific about which 9s you call with, and I called with the wrong ones. None of these spots are like, you know, up for debate as far as like alternative lines. We had kings twice, we lost both. We made a debatable call with 9s, like where my hand's a snap call against a small size because he could still be thinly value betting 6s and 7s. My hand's a snap fold against overbet, and then he bets like 60%, and it's like he can have a king, he can have a queen. There's some bluffs that are there. This hand probably needs to bluff catch. Which variation's the best bluff catcher? I called with like a mid-tier bluff catcher variation of the hand instead of the best bluff catching variation of the hand. Spot's like not is bad enough that I'd prefer to have the best variation, but oh well, like it's not. And like there's been another spot. Like there's been like nothing else that I could do. Here we go. Let's fade an 8. Let's fade a chop. Thank you. Back in it. What the fuck? Where does this HUD keep going? It disappeared again. Not that like it matters for this situation. It's just like I want it and now I don't have it. Like I said, did I just get... No, I didn't get a table change. Like, the fucking Linus stuff's been on my table for a while. Hey, that's a good turn. That's a good turn. There we go. Bottom of range if it folds to me. I think that Pio just kind of... A lot of people using Pio over GTO Plus. I think that's mostly, like, legacy. I don't necessarily think that Pio is better than GTO Plus. I also don't. I don't know. I can't speak to the differences that strongly, but my assumption is that if you already have GTO Plus, you probably don't need to switch. I don't know anything about GTO Plus, but I would imagine it's fine. I use Pio Solver because I've had it for a long time and it solves my poker needs, not for any other real strong reason. So this is going to look a little spewy. Basically, this range is pocket 5s, 6s, and 7s in it a bunch. He's probably going to double float a bunch. But we end up double barreling here when we have the Jack of Clubs a little bit more often. It just means that like he might have check called the flop with like an Ace Jack suited, like Ace Jack of Clubs. He might have check called the flop with like a King Jack of Clubs or like a King Jack of Hearts or a King Jack of Diamonds. It's just a little bit more likely that he's got those hands and he folds when I have the Jack of Clubs in my hand. A little bit less likely that he can call. And then obviously we're going to lose when he has like 7s and he just stacks off 6s or 5s and he just check shoves the turn and he just like game over. Which is a totally viable play, but it's not like I have equity, so we just try to pressure like the floats that brick, where we block the floats that would continue, and we hope he doesn't have 7s. So like it's a pretty standard spot from that perspective. You can also have ace 10, like that's possible. Oh, flush is a pretty good hand, Linus. We are now on break, so like I said, BBZPoker.com. Check us out. Thank you guys. I will be back tomorrow with this stream. 15 hours is 15 and a half hours. I guess that's 10 a.m. my time. So I'll be back with day 2. We had a good run, and we would have had a better stack, but you know we ran a little salty with kings twice in a row. So it happens. It happens. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.